time believed that Schenck and Debs were anti-American. Okay, so in your groups, I want you to discuss this. After reading this speech and reading the pamphlet, do you think they could be perceived as being anti-American, given the fact that World War I is going on, and if so or if not, why? Okay, so just take a minute and discuss in your groups.
Trying to keep democracy.
The rights opinion isn't anti-American. Like that's kind of one of the things that makes America. Yeah, exactly.
So they both use examples of keeping their rights and democracy. But so I wouldn't say anti-American.
It's almost like they're being more American because they're being patriotic and standing up for what they want. Yeah, this isn't a monarchy.
They're just more worried about their nation than the war was on.
So you think they are anti-American?
I don't think they actually are anti-American because they're not saying that the U.S. is bad in doing so. They're just saying that fighting is not the way to go about it.
Fighting is not a way to keep democracy within the United
If anything, they're kind of just like, I mean, because there's no direct threat except for that one time. But, like, I don't know, there's no reason.
Yeah, I feel like they went to war.
It's just pamphlets. Like,
Okay.
I don't really agree with this.
Good. So I heard a lot of good answers. Zoe, you just want to summarize what your group discussed?
We said that like they were emphasizing that the war is really bad and that you should resist the draft and that it was un-American, but they never once explained why the war was bad and why they should not be a part of the war. So it kind of just seemed like it was only saying one side of it and not backing it up with details.
Okay. Bailey, you kind of disagreed, I heard a little bit. What did you think?
Well, we were saying that having your own opinion doesn't make you anti-American. It almost makes you more American because that's kind of an aspect that the Americans like. And so it was just, they were standing up for what they thought and not really being,
Okay. Good. All right. So we're actually going to look at document C now. Okay. This is the Sedition Act of 1918. Okay. So this is an excerpt from the Sedition Act signed into law by President Woodrow Wilson in 1918. Along with the espionage, this law shrunk the rights of Americans. Wilson and the United States Congress claimed dissent would harm America's effort to win the war. Congress repealed the act in December of 1920, 2 years after the end of World War I. Lavina, will you read that act for us?
Whoever, when the United States is at war, shall willfully utter, print, write, or publish any disloyal, profane, scurrilous, or abusive language about the form of government of the United States, or the Constitution of the United States, or the military or naval forces of the United States, or the flag of the United States, or the uniform of the Army or Navy of the United States, or shall willfully utter, print, write, or publish any language intended to incite, provoke, or encourage resistance to the United States, shall be punished by a fine of not more than $10,000 or the imprisonment for not more than 20 years, or both.
Good. Okay.
20 years.
United States.
Yes. So I want you on the back of your graphic organizing. There's 3 questions I want you to answer with your groups regarding the Sedition Act.
So this was paused. And this was passed in 1918.
Claim the consent would harm Americans' effort to win the war. Passed to
harm America's effort to win.
Claim dissent would harm America's effort to win the war.
So
So
to
they-
end any harm.
Yeah, that may cause America to lose the war.
Block harm.
In your own words,
Yeah,
summarize
to the war effort.
Because anyone who efforts such as the draft.
And the World War.
Yeah, that's easy. Just
Summarize this law against it.
So
It said that you can't.
Or you can't talk about anything bad.
Right.
You can't go against the U.S.
Publish
basically.
it.
And they needed the people's support.
Okay, so you can't publish, write, or what?
Utter.
Okay.
Willfully utter.
Okay, so you can't
Oh,
publish.
and then you have a fine of more than 10,000 or the imprisonment.
Okay, so you can't publish or write anything negative about the U.S.
In your own
or
words,
you.
summarize this law.
Basically, you can't write or say anything against anything of the United States, like the flag, the Constitution, or anything like that.
You're gonna have, if you have everybody in the country disagreeing, you should be at war.
But if you're gonna have people that agree to go to
No
war.
form of written language.
Okay.
Do you think this law was necessary? Why or why not use evidence to support your answer? I feel like
In a time of war, yes.
yeah, and it was necessary for especially at the time, because they needed to win this war.
And I think
Yeah, they
because
couldn't
of
really
that,
afford to lose
how
it.
big
Yeah,
the
'cause
war
our-
was. Like, it's a huge, massive war.
And since it was such a big war, if they would have lost it, it would have caused
I
a
feel
lot
like for
of.
the government it was,
there's-
but
there
then
is
for
two
like
sides,
people,
right?
it's like,
You do have dissent.
I mean, that's our freedom of speech.
Out
It's
of
like
the
an
war, right?
American
Especially
thing.
Yeah.
when we're getting
Yeah, so
involved.
we say,
We kind of had,
we could just say the government,
so just think
for the
about that
government,
too.
yes, it's necessary
Yeah.
because of the conditions of the war, but for the people it wasn't because it took away their freedom of speech.
So it was not how you spoke about it.
Isn't there like,
I'd be like, oh, really watch me. And I'd be even worse about it.
like angry with the government?
Yeah, I'd be like, watch me.
Yeah,
And
it was a large
protest even more now.
Okay, so looking at the Sedition Act of 1918, do you think Debs and Schenck were guilty of? Yes, right? Because they were both doing what?
Talking badly,
Yeah.
writing and publishing.
Good, they were speaking and writing and publishing against the war. Okay, so Debs actually spent almost 2 years, like 21 months in jail for violating the Sedition Act. He actually ran for president from jail, and Schenck spent 6 months. Okay, and Schenck actually challenged his case all the way up to the Supreme Court. Okay, so if you flip over, let's take a look at document D. This is the decision that the Supreme Court rendered when Schenck challenged his detention. Okay, and it's by Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes. Okay. The character of every act depends upon the circumstances in which it is done. The most stringent protection of free speech would not protect a man in falsely shouting fire in a theater and causing a panic. The question in every case is whether the words used are used in such circumstances and are of such nature as to create a clear and present danger that they will bring about the substantive evils that Congress has a right to prevent. When a nation is at war, many things that might be said in time of peace are such a hindrance to its efforts that their utterance will not be endured so long as men fight, and that no court could regard them as protected by any constitutional right. Okay? So in your groups, I want you to discuss kind of generally what does the ruling say, okay, and then think, do you agree with this ruling or not? Okay, and I want you to keep in the back of your mind the First Amendment, okay, but also keep in the back of your mind that war is going on at this time, and you know what's probably the major purpose of any government during the war. Okay, so what does it say? Do you agree or disagree with the ruling? Okay, so just discuss in your groups those two questions.
Yeah, in the time of war.
And then, I guess in the
It makes sense, but at the same time, it's still a right. And I feel like you can't, there's like no take backs. Once you put it down and it's been in action for so long, you can't be like, well, if it's dangerous, you probably shouldn't say it.
I think it kind of makes sense.
Makes sense, but.
Yeah, it's like when a nation's at war, many things that might have been said in time of peace, basically not transpired anymore.
Yeah, you would want people in your own nation talking about your nation badly because that's not going to help you win.
But what if you felt like the war was wrong? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, then, didn't they do that for the Vietnam War?
Exactly.
It was kind of necessary.
that
but I don't think it was.
And well, and Schenck and Debs both felt like they were not in war for like the appropriate reason. So, do they have the right to say that, or
Yeah, I mean, it
does
is
nation
country.
security, like does nation security,
Yeah, like,
I feel like
outweigh
if
that?
it was normally like, if it was 2/3 of the nation saying that this is wrong, then that would cause a problem because they're already at war.
Yeah, but how can they say it's wrong if they get thrown in jail for saying it's wrong?
I just feel like
That's what I'm saying.
with the fire thing in the theater, that makes a lot of sense. Or like if you
Yeah.
say like bomb an airplane something, you're gonna get arrested for it.
Yep.
And most of the time you're gonna have fines for it also. So and that's like restricting our freedom of speech. But it's
So
protecting
in
the
a time,
US.
yeah, and in a time of war, you're restricting the speech, but
Yeah, but it's just hard to say, because if you don't agree with it,
yeah.
And then you want to
I don't
talk.
know,
You
I
want
don't
to say that you don't
Yeah,
agree with it. You don't want to be restricted to not saying you
I
don't
do
agree with
think
it.
it's necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, let's come back together as a whole class because I've heard a lot of good discussion. Okay, Lavina, you want to kind of share what is your feelings about it?
So I don't think it was right to prohibit, like some of the things they could say, but I think it was kind of necessary. If that
Okay.
makes sense. And we were talking about.
So do you agree with whom? You agree with Holmes or do you agree with Schenck? Like, do you think that Schenck should have been punished? Do you agree with Holmes?
I
Okay.
agree with Holmes.
Okay. Why?
Because it could, like, the things they were saying could cause a panic
Okay.
and stuff, and at times of war, it's kind of necessary to not have, I mean, you kind of need your people's support, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I think it was necessary to do it, even if it's maybe not like the right, I don't know if that makes sense at all.
Okay,
but-
no, that makes sense. Tacy, will you summarize kind of what Lavina said?
Well, it's just kind of, because I agree with Lavina, I agree that Holmes was right in this, just because of the fact that we're at war, and just like how it said that, like, falsely shouting fire in a theater or, like, causing panics like that, you can get fined for doing that. So just in a time of war, I think it's kind of necessary but it also comes from the other side where you don't want to take away people's freedom of speech and all kinds of stuff like that. So
Okay,
it's
right.
just very
Because why do we have
controversial.
freedom of speech? Who is it to protect? Is it to protect the majority when everybody agrees? Do you need to protect when everybody agrees? No, what do you think, Sam?
Just to protect the people who don't agree.
That don't agree, the minority, right? So free speech is designed to protect those that maybe are on the dissenting side that don't have as large of a voice as everybody else, okay? Bailey, you were kind of in disagreement with these, I kind of was going to put you on the spot, but do you want to kind of share with kind of the rest of us what you thought? Or?
I was just gonna say that, like, it's almost like taking back what you said before, like an act, like a right that was already put in place for so long. And I mean, I could see where you'd be like, you don't want to cause any unnecessary panic, and it makes sense, but at the same time, how do you decide what does and doesn't cause panic? I mean, obviously, like, shouting fire in a theater obviously causes panic, but how do you decide, like, some guy passing around a pamphlet causes panic? Like, that's another thing I don't understand is how do you regulate that and be like, well, that's dangerous, that's not dangerous, that's dangerous.
That's a really good point.
It's almost like a loop.
Jenny, you want to add something?
I just, one thing that I thought of was, I feel like a country's laws shouldn't change just because they're at war. Like, yes, the country needs to support the people, but at the same time, the people in the country, there will always be people that will stand up against the war, and their opinions shouldn't be stopped because of that.
Okay, good. Zoe, and then I'm going to get you Haley, okay?
I think that, like, I kind of just disagree. I think that it was necessary because their, like, use of, like, the metaphor of, like, the yelling fire in a theater to avoid causing panic. It'd be the same where, like, if there was panic to cause in your own country, then you'd be fighting a two-front war with yourself and with your enemy. So it'd be really hard to, like, keep fighting a war when no one in your own country will fight the war. It would be the government against the enemy, not the country against the enemy.
That's a good point. And I think if you put it within context, how late are we getting involved into this war? We're 3 years, right? So we're at the very, very end. Haley, what were you going to say?
Well, kind of like what Bailey and Jenna were saying, it's just a guy passing out pamphlets. Like, he's not causing people to, like, get weapons and go against the government and stand up. He's just spreading his opinion around.
Okay.
So, like, how do you regulate what causes a panic and what doesn't? Because he's just saying his opinion.
And if we're looking at the side of the U.S. government, why would they be fearful of that pamphlet?
Because they don't want people to resist the draft or not support the war.
Yeah, so it's tricky, right? And it kind of depends on whose lens you're looking at it from.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's always saying, like, if we're at war, we want to win this war, and if we have so much dissent at home, then we're not going to be victorious. But then if we have dissent at home, is the war really what we're supposed to be fighting for? And if we go back to Schenck and Debs, why do they argue that the war was being fought?
For our power.
For money and profit.
For money and profit and greed, okay? If we look at it or contrast those viewpoints with what Wilson was saying, what did he believe we were fighting the war for?
Democracy.
Yeah, so it brings all into question too, like what is the true nature of the war and why are we there, right? Yeah, Tacy?
And I also feel like if it was just purely for democracy and that's what everyone saw it as, we wouldn't have they wouldn't have had the problem of making these acts where they weren't allowed to talk out.
Oh, that's a really good point, right? So then kind of questioning, you know, is Wilson right with these warnings, okay? What's another reason why they're afraid of socialism? Does anybody know?
I don't know, it's kind of like you could overthrow them. Like,
Right, that's what socialists call for, right?
All the different individual people. with
Yeah,
so
they
much
call for an
power.
overthrow of government and democracy, or true communism does. And which country is pursuing communistic regime at this time? Russia is, right in the middle of the war, and then they negotiate a separate out from the Americans, and so then the Americans are kind of stuck fighting the Germans without the help of the Russians, so that fear was there as well, okay?